The 25th of May. Ah! 3 weeks of complete silence. I look back at my previous diaries and I wonder, where did I find the time to write so much so often? Oh well, I'll try to remember what's been going on these past few weeks. I passed all my exams with straight A's. Of course. J. And tomorrow... I don't know what that'd be. Of course. And tomorrow morning I'm leaving home. Yes, I'm making the leap into the great unknown. And I'm never coming back here. I withdrew all my money from the bank. $2,190. And I've packed a suitcase and a bag with my clothes and work samples and books. And anything else I can't do without. Unfortunately, I have to leave so much. My old toys, some of the bigger canvases, my screen. And it's not like I can have Mum ship them or anything. I'm leaving a letter for my family, but I'm not telling them where I'm going. 18 years under constant scrutiny is enough. I really don't want to carry any of that with me into my new life. Strangely enough, when I was packing this morning, I suddenly remembered something I'd forgotten a long time ago. When I was a kid, I kept all my drawings in a box under the floorboards so my dad wouldn't find them and berate me for wasting my time. Okay. So he's got something against creativity for some reason. The box was right where I put it, more than 6 years ago. I didn't feel like looking at any of the drawings right away, so I wrapped the box up and stuck it in my big bag. I'll open it when I get to Venice. I don't think this is the right time for nostalgic reminiscence about my childhood, but I'm glad I remembered to pack the box. So tonight's the night. I'm sneaking out of here at 4 AM to catch the train to Greenvale, and from there on to the big city itself, Newport. At dinner tonight, I'll see Mum, Dad, Daniel and Owen for the last time in a long while. I don't really care if I ever see Dad again, but I feel sorry for Mum. She doesn't seem to care much for me, but I know she'll miss me, and I know she'll feel very guilty for turning a blind eye to the way he treated me throughout all those years. As for Danny and Owen, I don't really know. Yes, Danny could theoretically improve, though I doubt he wants to. As for Owen, he's still a kid. He might turn out okay, but as long as Dad's in control, I'm not too optimistic. So it's something to do with Dad. I'm going to the pond tonight to say goodbye. Oh, this is writing a lot, isn't it? I haven't been there in a long while, not since that crazy day. Well, I have to see it one last time, and I'll never get it out of my head. As for my friends, I don't really want to say anything. I'll mail them when I get to Newport, to Venice. So, this is the last entry I'll write here in this house, in this room. In some strange way I can't really understand. I'll miss it. Not much, but I did grow up here. I did spend 18 years in this place, and that's not soon forgotten or ignored. I don't want to feel bad for what I'm doing, but I can't help it. I do feel bad. A little. But more than anything, I'm excited about what tomorrow will bring. I believe I might actually be happy. Imagine that. Friday, the 28th of July, 2209. Way too early in the morning, and I won't even try to describe the dream I had last night. Like, enough with the fairy tales already. I need to start dreaming about boys and shopping, the important things in life. It just dawned on me that the student exhibition opens in less than 2 weeks. My painting, and I mean that in the broadest sense of the word, is not even close to being presentable. Even that's an overstatement. All I have is a blank canvas, and while that may fool some people, like in, whoa, what an expressive statement of nothingness, it won't fool my teachers. Nor will that accent. So today, I have to put in a solid 6 hours of work at the studio, and just hope that inspiration will strike me like lightning from the sky. It could happen. Right. Let's interact with everything first. Yes. Let's interact with everything first.
It's a matchbook.
Right. Yoink. And now April is a pyromaniac.
Emma picked this table up at a flea market for $10 last month. That's $9 more than it's worth.
Fiona.
That's Fiona, my landlady. She's all right.
She has this ring. The priceless, etc.
Morning, Fiona.
Good morning, darling. You're up early.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep.
Are you feeling all right? You look a little pale.
I had a nightmare. A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. No,
I
nightmare.
had a bad nightmare.
Again? Well, you're not the only one, darling. Mickey woke me up screaming in the middle of the night. She wouldn't go back to sleep until I made her a cup of herbal tea.
Nightmares?
Apparently. But she refuses to tell me what they were. I think she's embarrassed.
That doesn't sound like Mickey.
I know, darling. Don't tell her I said so. But I've never seen her so agitated in my life. She scared the hell out of me.
I don't know why I have nightmares. I guess they could be stress-related. After all, the exhibition's right around the corner.
Oh, yes. The school exhibition. How's that going?
God, don't ask. I have no idea how I'm going to finish my painting on time. I haven't felt inspired in ages.
I think you work too hard, darling. You need to relax once in a while. Live. Enjoy your youth. There's inspiration to be found in hedonism, you know.
No, I don't know, but apparently you do.
I'm an authority on the subject, darling. Ask Mickey. She'll tell you I don't lift a finger around the place unless I absolutely have to.
Where's everybody this morning? Yeah.
Where's everybody this morning?
Mickey's tied up in the basement. Mind you, she's not literally tied up, of course, although that is a tempting thought.
Are you getting into your sexual fantasies here, Fiona? Because it's a little too early in the morning for that, don't you think?
Sorry, I just can't help myself. Anyway, the plumbing is... You probably noticed when you took a shower, yeah? There's no hot water. So Mickey's working on that. Getting knee-deep in putrid canal water is her job, thank God.
What about Charlie? He up yet?
No, he's still sleeping, and Emma just went to bed. I saw her come in when I was making breakfast. Do you know who she's seeing now?
I don't know. Some guy?
Those lads I see her with, darling. She's too good for those arseholes. I wish she'd find herself a man who'd treat her right for once.
She hasn't had much luck with love, no?
She's a magnet for creeps, and she's so pretty. They prey on her, you know, bastards.
I've tried to talk to her about it, but Emma's impulsive. She doesn't listen.
She's just as headstrong as you and me, darling, but I'm sure she'll be all right. She's smart and resourceful, and not afraid to speak up for herself.
A few questions. Enjoying the good weather. Yeah. Shouldn't you be enjoying the good weather?
Shouldn't you be outside enjoying the good weather?
You joking? Bollocks to that. I'll stay inside until September, thank you very much. It's too bloody hot.
British accent complaining about the heat. Hello. Can I ask you a few questions?
Can I ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly, darling. About what?
Oh my goodness. We got a lot of questions we can ask. Let's go through all of them, shall we? Tell me about Emma.
Tell me about Emma.
Emma? Why, she's your best friend, darling. I don't know what to tell you that you don't already know. You girls are so close.
That's true. The day we met, we clicked instantly. It was strange, but cool.
Like me and Mickey then, except for the sex, of course.
That's a pretty big except for, Fiona.
Oh, I guess so. She's the crazy one, Emma is. Not crazy as in mad as a hatter, but crazy in a good way. Fun to be around.
Emma's always been a little weird.
Exactly, darling. She's a flirt, too, and the boys seem to drop like flies at her feet. No wonder. She's a real looker, I don't have to tell you. I'm sure she could have been a model if she'd wanted, but she's an artist, and a good one, too. I really think she'll be a successful artist. Her sculptures are getting a lot of attention.
Right. Anything else?
Anything else you can tell me about Emma?
She ought to be a little more careful sometimes. She's a flirt, and although she doesn't mean any harm, some lads don't take too well to being teased and rejected. You should tell her that, though, being her best friend and all.
I have told her. She won't listen.
No. She does worry me a little, but she's a big girl and she can take care of herself. I'm certainly happy to have her living here. Next to you and Charlie, she's my favourite tenant.
Aww. And how long have you known Charlie?
How long have you known Charlie?
Oh, he's one of our oldest tenants. It's close to 3 years, I believe, since he moved in. Charlie is always in a good mood, and he's such a gentleman.
I agree. He's an actual genuine gentleman.
And you don't see a lot of gentlemen these days, trust me. You have a very good friend in him, darling. Perhaps even more than a friend.
What do you mean, more than a friend?
Not for me to say, darling. If you don't realize it yet, you will.
It's just... Yes, well then, like, maybe more than a friend. What does that mean? What did you think of me when we first met?
What did you think of me when we first met?
That's a peculiar question, isn't it? I thought you were quite lovely. I still do, darling.
Do you remember the day I arrived?
Of course, darling. It wasn't that long ago, and I'm not senile quite yet. It was in May, wasn't it? Charlie referred you to me, and you were quite at a loss. First day in the city, wasn't it? I remember. You looked like a lost puppy.
Oh.
Puppy? Me?
When I saw you lugging that suitcase across the bridge, my heart went out to you. I'm glad you came here. You could have been lost anywhere else.
What's up with Zach?
What's up with Zach Lee?
Zach? I think we both feel the same way about him, darling. He's not actually a bastard. If he was, I'd have had him out of here in an instant. But he is an arse, and a stuck-up, pompous, arrogant wanker.
My thoughts exactly. Aside from that wanker bit.
Still, he pays his rent on time and he doesn't make a lot of noise. He keeps to himself. And most importantly, he's shit scared of me. So I can't just kick him out.
Right. Tell me about
Tell
yourself.
me a little bit about yourself, Fiona.
Me? Why? It's not much to say, darling. I love my job. I love Venice. And I love being with Mickey. I'm a happy girl. Sure, sometimes I wish I could go back to England to see my family, but that's water under the bridge, so to speak. I'm very happy with myself and my life here in Newport.
Well, how long have you and Mickey been together?
How long have you and Mickey been together?
Mickey and I have been together since I was 19. She was in her late 30s then. The older, wiser, worldly woman. I found her sweet and charming and intriguing. When I finally realized she was neither of those things, it was too late. I was in love. She stole me away from my dreary British inner-city life, and she brought me here. She was no knight in shining armor, that's for sure. But she knew how to treat me like a woman.
You guys make a great couple.
You think so, darling? Yes, I guess we do. And the sex is amazing.
You never get tired of talking about your sex life, do you?
Never. And if I ever do, please shoot me.
Right. Tell me something about the border house. I'll go through all of these and then they'll be done. I assume they won't come back later. That was one of my frustrations with like Mass Effect. I think 1 and 2. You could investigate things, but the investigate options wouldn't go away. Can you tell me something about the border house?
Can you tell me something about the border house?
That's one of my favorite topics, darling. What precisely do you want to know?
More questions. What made you decide to run a boarding house?
What made you decide to run a boarding house?
That's a long story. One of the reasons Mickey and I got together was that we shared a passion for the classic English country inns. You know, quaint, weathered buildings, funny old ladies, and oddly suggestive names like the Lazy Cock.
So why come here to the big city? To America?
We wanted to create a place with a similar atmosphere and hospitality here in Newport. Like a safe house for people like you and I to call home, if only for a short while. So we discussed different options for a few months, and then we decided we wanted to start a boarding house for young, penniless students and artists.
You decided you wanted to do that here in Venice?
We knew that Venice was the place for us long before we came here, but the hard part was finding a building cheap enough.
And this building was available?
Not at first. Like most of the buildings in Venice, this one used to be a factory, but when we first looked at it, a local company was planning to turn it into a bar and nightclub. It was so perfect for our purposes, though, that we appealed to the Venice Borough Council, and after outlining our plans, they gave us the go-ahead at a reduced price, provided we kept our promises regarding our tenants.
So why the border house?
What inspired the name border house?
That That came quite naturally when we saw the place. It's on the border between two worlds, isn't it? Between Venice and the city itself. And at the same time, I also believe we're on the border between two more abstract worlds. Between art and spirit on the one hand, and science and technology on the other.
That's very poetic, Fiona.
Yes, I've practiced. I may be an inner city girl, but I can philosophize and bullshit with the best of them.
Two worlds, two worlds, two worlds. Ugh, no. How soon after moving here do we start having the nightmares? Because that's my thought. Maybe she's more true than she knows. Do you and Mickey own the place together?
Do you and Mickey own the place together?
We own it together, yes, and we've shared the responsibilities between us. Mickey takes care of the maintenance of the building, and I busy myself with the administrative tasks. I also take care of the day-to-day management of our tenants, like deciding whether or not to let someone rent a room. And, of course, the unpleasant business of booting someone out.
I thought you enjoyed that part.
Yes, all right. In some cases I do, but not always. It can get quite messy.
Thanks for the information.
I'm glad I could help you out, darling.
What can you tell me about Venice?
What can you tell me about Venice?
I don't really know much about the history of Venice. You should really ask someone with an interest in local affairs. What I do know is that this whole neighborhood used to be an industrial area, and that about 100 years ago they converted most of the buildings into residences for students and the homeless. And it's a nice place to live, certainly. Friendly people, liberal attitudes, great clothing stores, quite perfect, aside from that dreadful stench from the canals in the summertime.
Okay, and what's the story behind my apartment?
What's the story behind my apartment?
Your apartment? It's more a room than anything else. Not much more than a large closet, really.
It's not that small.
It's one of our smallest rooms, but it's cheap and it's on a nice floor. I hope you're happy there.
I like it. It's convenient. And it's got, an interesting view.
That's nice to hear, darling. As for the story behind it, no unexplained deaths or hidden pirate treasures, I'm afraid.
Curses.
Just a long string of students on a tight budget.
What do you think of Newport?
Do you like Newport?
The city? I stay in Venice most of the time. It's easy to forget we're just a tiny little pocket in the middle of a sprawling urban wasteland. But do I like it? I think Newport is one of the great cities of our age. Love it or hate it, you can't argue with that.
And which one is it? Love or hate?
I haven't decided yet, darling. Ask me again in another 15 years. Perhaps I'll have an answer then.
Right.
I don't have any more questions right now.
Don't hesitate asking if there's something else you want to know.
Better get going.
I'd better get going.
Off to school.
Yeah, there are no more classes this semester, but I have to finish my painting by next Thursday.
For what it's worth, darling, good luck. And don't work too hard, all right?
Right, okay, options, diary. 28th of July. So we left in May. Okay, so this was probably the first time we had the dream then. Otherwise, you probably mentioned we'd had it before. So okay, July. So okay, so no connection there. We wanna try the.
I saw this note on the corkboard. I think the ring might belong to me.
I'm sorry I have to ask, but could you describe the ring?
Sure thing. It says Sweet 16. My dad gave it to me. I think it was the only birthday of mine he remembered, or at least acknowledged.
Yes, that's the one. I found it under the sofa when I was vacuuming. Here you are, darling.
Hooray! We found things. We have another
Thanks.
item.
It's not worth much, but it's got a certain sentimental value for me.
It's a very pretty ring.
Yeah, it is. My dad never gave me anything pretty before or since. He must have won a poker game or something that day. You know what's strange? I don't hate him. He's a bastard and he treated me like crap almost every single day of my life. But I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him.
Why?
Because he doesn't know how to love. He can't love anybody or anything. And because he'll be miserable every second of every minute of every day until the day he dies. God, I'm glad that life is behind me. I hope I never have to see him again. No, that doesn't sound right. I've made a choice not to see him again. Ever.